your voice, your vote. The Republican race for the White House.
And a very good morning to you. Brian and Amanda with you still on continuing coverage after Utah's morning news. We're filling in for the Doug Wright Show as he flies back from Cleveland on a special Your Voice, Your Vote, the Republican race for the White House.
We're joined now by Utah Republican Party Chair James Evans. And I must ask you, James, whether or not with his speech last night, Donald Trump won over any of the Utah delegates.
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, one of our strongest Ted Cruz supporters was actually had on a defeat Hillary, vote Trump sticker, and I had to take a picture of it. So I think the combination between Donald Trump's speech and Mike Pence's speech, in Utah, we're pragmatic. At the end of the day, there's no way we're going to allow Hillary Clinton to win Utah. And so our delegates and I think our voters in Utah, our Republicans, have recognized that this is going to be a very strong ticket. We have Mike Pence, a vice presidential candidate, strong conservative values, and you have a fighter at the top, Donald Trump, who's going to take on all of the corruption and cronyism and the bloated bureaucracies that are harming our individual liberties and freedom. So I think we have a very strong ticket, and I'm excited to be supporting it and making sure that Utah delivers for the Republicans and elect Donald Trump in November.
Chairman, I got to ask you, I know that there's a lot of Utahns who have basically come out and been very vocal about how they don't necessarily agree with the way Trump just is, the way he presents himself, his mannerisms, some of his speech, some of the things that he, has been involved with. Do you think there's any sort of policy that maybe you heard in the speech last night or something that you might have heard last night in that speech that can get these Utahns past some of those mannerisms to support him in November?
Well, I think you're drawing a conclusion because some of our delegates have been very vocal that they don't like his disposition, that they will not vote for him or support him, and those are two separate things. As you know, in Utah, we're going to have a conversation now. We're going to voice our opinions, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to support our nominee. And so you can do both things. Our delegates have been very strong. They were very strong Cruz supporters. Cruz did not prevail, so they're going to get on board with Donald Trump. And yes, and they can still criticize his mannerisms or how he displays. And I think you've seen Donald Trump even modify some of his behaviors, and I think that's a good thing. And I think this election process is going to make him a better, not only candidate, but when he is elected in November, it will make him a better president.
I have to ask you, James, when the room was chanting, "Lock her up," both earlier in the week when Governor Christie was speaking and last night, was Utah's delegation joining in that chant?
Yeah, but, we're still Utah. It's only going to be so much, displaying that we're going to do. But, yes, there were some chants, but we still try to be respectful, and clearly we're not as demonstrative as a lot of the other states.
Do you anticipate that during the race now between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton that Mr. Trump will move more toward the center than he's been in the primary race?
Yeah, I think you've seen that. A lot of his rhetoric is going to, be modified so that it is more presidential. One key thing I think you saw or heard in his speech was about his a policy that he would implement regarding, instead of saying he will ban Muslims, he talked about making sure that there's a vetting process from countries that's known for terrorism. And I've said this to him when I met with him one-on-one for 30 minutes. I pressed the case about respecting the humanity of all of us. We can have differences of opinion, but we must always respect the humanity of even those that we disagree with. But he gets that, and you're going to see more and more of that.
Do you think, Chairman, that the never Trump people may ever be won over in this campaign?
Well, I think from his speech last night, you can see that Donald Trump is building a new coalition. So they're either going to get on board or they're going to be left behind. But what Donald Trump, what he identified last night, all of those points are exactly what we've all been feeling. We have a government that's just out of control. They're literally suffocating our liberties. We've made disastrous trade deals that harm the least of us in our country, and that's the sad part. You had Democrats supporting trade policies that are decimating the communities that they purport to defend. And so we are going to have a reordering, not only this election cycle, but when Donald Trump becomes president, a reordering of all of this cronyism and pay-to-play schemes that have harmed so many working families.
We look forward to speaking with you more as the election continues. We appreciate your time this morning, James.
Thank you for having me on.